One thing I love about Sadako is that every time I play her, there's always something new to learn. Out of all the killers in the game, she requires the most knowledge in order to dominate survivors, and as a Sadako main, there's a lot I've learned on my journey to get her to P100. I've compiled 30 Sadako tips, starting with the most basic and gradually getting more and more advanced. If you're a Sadako beginner, all 30 tips will probably be incredibly valuable, but if you're already a pro, I bet you there's a few tips you've never heard before. Sadako has been changed a fair bit since she's been brought into Dead by Daylight, so go to her DBD wiki page and read the entire thing. It will keep you up to date on her abilities and powers, because even after I release this video, they might change her again. Check your HUD frequently, because this gives you a ton of information. When a survivor grabs a tape, there'll be a static effect behind their character. When they get a stack of Condemn, you'll see a white ring flash around them. If they have any Condemn at all, there'll be a gray circle around them. And if they're fully Condemned, the ring will turn red. Being demanifested has its benefits. You're undetectable, you're invisible to survivors if you're over 24 meters away, but you can't attack. So basically the only time you should be demanifesting is to teleport to a TV or avoid body blocking. Speaking of demanifesting, survivors cannot stun you with a pallet when you're demanifested. So if you're already demanifested, you can try to bait pallet drops. I wouldn't recommend demanifesting in chase just to avoid getting stunned though. Don't be fooled, Sadako is not good in chase. Survivors want to pull you into chases because when you're manifested, you're basically just an M1 killer. Get used to playing a hit and run playstyle because it fits best with her abilities. The game can snowball at any moment, so never give up. Until exit gates are open and survivors are running out, you really have a chance to win at any moment. I've won games where I only had one hook the entire match. TVs take 30 seconds to turn on at the start of the match. Try to get your first hit before TVs turn on, but you basically should start teleporting as soon as they do. When you're still learning Sadako, just pick one survivor and track their Condemn stacks throughout the match. This will help you develop the skill where you can start mentally tracking the Condemn stacks of multiple survivors. The Bloody Fingernails add-on and the Iridescent remote control are her two best add-ons. Bloody Fingernails will give you haste coming out of a TV, which helps with the hit and run playstyle. The remote control will show you the aura of survivors near TVs when you teleport. And because Bloody Fingernails is pretty common to get in the blood web, that add-on really shouldn't leave your build. Don't forget, the first time you hook a survivor, up to 3 stacks of Condemn will be locked in for the remainder of the game. The second time you hook them, all their stacks will be locked in. This should impact who you decide to chase and hook. When survivors turn off TVs, they stay off for 70 seconds. If you teleport to a TV, it will only turn off for 45 seconds. So control TVs by teleporting to them before the survivors get a chance to turn them off. Use Surge for gen regression. Because your TVs are around generators, you'll often get it down right next to a generator, making Surge incredibly valuable. Chases aren't important when you can Condemn and Mori survivors at any point. So don't get caught up on hooks when Condemn is a way more powerful way to end games. Remember, when a survivor pulls a tape, they have to turn it into a TV on the other side of the map. You can try predicting what TV they're bringing it to and cut them off. Push survivors towards TVs in chase. That way you can teleport mid-chase to give them another stack of Condemn while not losing much distance in the process. The Mother's Comb add-on will give you a noise notification whenever a survivor takes a tape. This can help train your brain to focus on TVs. Use it like training wheels until you feel comfortable monitoring TVs without the add-on. Because Sadako is most efficient in a hit and run playstyle, experiment with perks that lean into that. Play with your food is great because you can teleport right when a chase starts with the obsession for an easy stack, and coup de grace is also great to help you get hits with an extended lunge. Reading Condemn is a great way to build up Condemn pressure. If you know a survivor is by a TV but hasn't pulled a tape, teleport to every TV but that TV to get as many stacks of Condemn on them as possible. Yoshi's fishing net is an add-on that can be really annoying for survivors. Anyone with 4 stacks of Condemn or more will suffer from blindness, which means if you can lock in 3 stacks of Condemn permanently from hooking a survivor, you can basically leave them blind for the entire match. You can still see TVs while you're blind though. If you ever get in a situation where survivors start body blocking, demanifest. This usually happens when a survivor is fully Condemned or you're chasing an injured survivor to the exit gate, but there's no collision with survivors when demanifested, so you can avoid body blocking and then just manifest when you get to the survivor you want to target. The easiest way to track Condemn on survivors for me is by verbally saying it out loud. If you label the survivors 1 through 4 from from top to bottom, say the numbers out loud every time they get a stack. This isn't a perfect method, but at least my brain has a rough idea of how many stacks each survivor has when I do it this way. Survivors only take tapes for 2 reasons. 1, to turn off a TV while they're working on a nearby generator, or 2, to clear Condemn. Try to identify which one they're doing it for every time someone pulls a tape. Slugging makes a lot of sense in some situations. If someone doesn't have Condemn, leaving them slugged to apply pressure elsewhere is usually the better option. I know it's looked down upon, but don't be afraid to slug when it makes sense. For survivors, playing against Sadako is really just a game of time management. Try adding in more things survivors have to manage. Hexes force survivors to hunt them down and cleanse them. A perk like Monstrous Shrine makes survivors prioritize unhooking faster. Sloppy Butcher will slow down the healing process, and Nurse's Calling will help you interrupt them healing. They will have all these things to manage along with Condemn stacks and generator progress, which can be very difficult for them to do. When a healthy survivor is fully condemned, it's unlikely you'll get the Mori. Good survivors will almost immediately grab a tape and a teammate will come body block. So I'm not saying it's not worth pursuing, but be careful not to get pulled into a long chase, because if they already have a tape in their hand, they'll likely turn it in before you get the down. Set yourself up for Condemn kills. At the start, just focus on controlling TVs and removing pallets. In the middle game, try to keep all survivors injured and lock in Condemn by hooking survivors when it makes sense. Near the end of the game, focus on fully condemning survivors and downing them now that important pallets have been removed. Sadako is pretty weak against Swifts because if they split up and grab tapes, they basically convert Sadako into only an M1 killer. If you see coordination early in a match, you'll have a 3 to 5 second window from when TVs are turned on to when a tape is pulled. Kinda like a skill check, keep your eyes peeled for TVs and don't miss that small window to take control of an important TV. There are really only 4 reasons to teleport to a TV. If you're trying to control a TV, if you're trying to cut off a survivor from turning in a tape, if you're trying to greed Condemn, or if you're trying to push survivors off a gen. There's a few exceptions, but outside of that, you're basically just wasting time if you teleport. You also shouldn't chase survivors without a reason. You need to ensure you have control of the TVs, you have Condemn pressure, and the specific person you're chasing has Condemn stacks. If you don't have at least 2 of those things, your chase is actually helping survivors. If you have the ability to do so, record your games and watch them back. It can be hard to see what went wrong during the match, but when reflecting back on it, you'll be able to see your mistakes a lot more clearly. Realizing you let someone with 5 stacks of Condemn run a tape while you chase someone with only 1 will help you avoid falling into that trap in the future. And last but not least, survivors will dictate how your game will be played. The more coordinated a team is playing, the less you focus on gens and hook and the more you focus on Condemn. Good Condemn pressure will have survivors scrambling to start running tapes and clearing their Condemn. Once you feel like they've lost a bit of coordination and momentum, you can start focusing on hooking and regressing generators. Get accustomed to switching your priorities during the match as you jockey for control of important TVs. Well, there you have it, 30 Sadako tips. If you feel like any of these tips were helpful, make sure to subscribe, and for more Sadako content, check out this playlist right here.